What's happening, everybody? It's Sean with Reactions to the Classics, and today we got a Mac Davis Top 10. Brought to us by our friend, longtime supporter and patron of the channel, Doug, via his wife, Cheryl. Unfortunately, Doug passed away last month at the time of this filming, but Cheryl has brought this list in his honor, and I'm looking forward to doing it. If you guys support us in any way, check out that Patreon link below. Okay, I know who Mac Davis is. I just turned 53, so when I was a young kid, it kind of seemed like he was in everything. He seemed like a talented guy. He always seemed like a nice guy, like a really likable guy. But I don't really know a lot about him. And I'll kind of get in. There's not a lot on these songs out there, actually. But he was an American songwriter, singer, performer, and actor. A native of Lubbock, Texas, where I lived for 4.5 years. I didn't know he was a native there. He enjoyed success as a crossover artist. And during his early career, he wrote for Elvis Presley, providing him with the hits Memories, In the Ghetto, Don't Cry Daddy, and A Little Less Conversation. A subsequent solo career in the 70s produced hits for him. He also starred in his own variety show for 3 years, 74 to 76, a Broadway musical, various films and TV shows, was a great songwriter, actually co-wrote a song for Bruno Mars all the way in 2013. Mac unfortunately passed away in 2020. If you've never been with us before, the music will not be in the video, but it's going to be at the Vimeo link below. So click on that and follow along with us. And I just don't have a lot of research on this, but we got number 10, Music in My Life, a single released in 1978. I'm going to have the lyrics up as always. Thanks again, Cheryl. Music in My Life, just a fun tune, nice arrangement. You know, great songwriters, instead of saying, hey, I love you, they could put it in creative ways. You put Music in My Life, the female backing vocals are nice. Just a really catchy song. So we got Hooked on Music from the album Texas in My Rear View. The next two songs are actually from that, from 1980. Hooked on Music, what an excellent song. A little rockabilly through there, 50s type sound to it. Talks all about Elvis, talks about finally scored tickets to Elvis at the end. This girl's with him, but she knows that she just really wants to be with him because she's excited she got to see Elvis. But also Jerry Lee Lewis throwout, but a Buddy Holly throwout. And he was in the skating rink that Buddy Holly performed in, which is probably autobiographical because Buddy Holly's from Lubbock and Mac's from Lubbock. But I thought that was just really good. We'll stay in that same album, Texas in My Rearview Mirror, with the title track. Texas in My Rearview Mirror. What a song. Mac is quite the songwriter. That was a fantastic song. I so identify with it. He's talking about growing up, right? And he wants to get out of Lubbock, Texas. I mean, Lubbock's all over this. We got Buddy Holly, shout out. And he just wants to leave. And happiness is Lubbock, Texas in his rearview mirror so he can get out of here, right? You want to get away from the place you grew up in. So he goes to Hollywood, but it's not what he thought it was going to be. But he's kind of starving, but thank goodness the words come to him and he can write songs. But as he gets older, he realizes that happiness is Lubbock, Texas getting nearer and nearer. And then when he dies, you can bury him in Lubbock, Texas in his jeans. And that's exactly what they did, I read. So kind of this full circle, cool moment. But I still identify with this. I just turned 53 a couple weeks ago at the time of this film. And the older I've gotten, I wanted to get away from where I grew up and I wanted to get to bigger towns and stuff. I live in an incredibly big place now, the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And I've lived here for a very long time, but almost 20 years. But as I get older, I don't really want to be in all of this craziness. I want to go back to someplace smaller, which when I was younger, you could have never convinced me of. I would have told you were crazy. So I really identify with this song. Next up, from the album of the same name, I got I Believe in Music all the way back from 1971. All right, I Believe in Music, a decade earlier than the two previous songs we heard of. Taking us to the church, right? Little gospel choir. Had some Elvis-like tendencies in it, especially from this time period, with those female, almost gospel type background in there. But I mean, Max is telling us he doesn't want any issues, right? He just believes in music, man. Maybe that'll bring everybody together and they'll stop all this fussing and fighting, some true 1971 words. Well done. Next up at number 6, we got Rock and Roll in parentheses. I Gave the Best Years of My Life from the All the Love in the World album in 1974. Ironically, Max is a great songwriter. This is not a Max song. It was written in 1973 by Australian singer Kevin Johnson. There were 3 versions released in the United States, but Max was the biggest hit, went to 15 on the Billboard Hot 100 in 1974. All right, Rock and Roll, I Gave You the Best Years of My Life. Fantastic song. I know he didn't write it, but it sounds like something he could write. It takes you through kind of being this rock and roll person, right? He watched or got all the Beatles records, sounded just like Paul, bought all Chuck Berry's 78s. We're going way back, practiced all the moves, gave his life to it, right? And then we go through how music went. 66, he's living in San Francisco, 69, LA. Then he goes to London, does all these different things. He's in Soho first, then he goes to London. But just a fantastic song. I think it fits Mac's solo, even though he didn't write it. All right, now we get to the top 5, the absolute masterpiece, In the Ghetto at number 5 from the Song Painter album in 1970. Originally titled The Vicious Circle, it's a 1969 song written by Mac and recorded, of course, by Elvis Presley. Major hit released in 69 as part of Elvis's comeback album From Elvis in Memphis, my favorite Elvis album. I think it's a fantastic album. It's about a boy who was born to a mother who already has more children than she can support in Chicago. He's deprived, turns into a delinquent. Nothing changes, whether it's 1969 or now. Purchases a gun, steals a car. He's killed, but then the song ends with another child being born, and this whole cycle repeats itself. The original by Elvis went to 2 in the UK and 3 in the US, which one of those little, I know it's a Mac Davis top 10, but a weird little thing is that in the 60s, Elvis had more chart success in the UK and the Beatles had more chart success in the US. I've always thought that was a weird thing. I've never heard Mac's version. Let's go. In the Ghetto. Just a fantastic song written in 1969. I'm filming this in 2024. I live in the United States. Absolutely nothing has changed. Absolutely nothing. Great song. Had to be on here. Fantastic writing. Remember, Mac wrote it. It's very difficult when you've heard one of the greatest vocals of all time. I know there's a lot of people that don't like Elvis now. You can't argue. He's one of the greatest voices of all time and the charisma. So after you've heard him sing it, it's really hard to hear somebody else sing. I thought Mac did a good job. It's just hard to separate that. All right, we got 4 tracks left. We got One Hell of a Woman from Stop and Smell the Roses in 1974, written by Mac and Mark James. Became his second top 20 hit on the US pop chart, where it peaked at number 11 in the fall of 1974, but it remained in the top 40 for 10 weeks. Unusually for Mac, he did not chart on the American country charts. The song ended up charting in the top 10 for 1974 in spite of missing the top 10 on the weekly survey. So it was a top 10 song of the year, but never made the top 10. It tells you the longevity this had. So I wonder if I've heard this song. Obviously, I was 3 when it came out, but later on, Canada went to number 11. All right, One Hell of a Woman. If you saw me looking confused, if you're watching the full reactions, because I had the Genius lyrics up. I always use genius.com. They're always fantastic. They had the wrong lyrics up, so then I had to go back and look, is this the right song? And I found the right lyrics. I don't know. I've never come across that. That's neither here nor there. I just wanted you to know why I was looking kind of strange at the start of the song. Good song. She's one hell of a woman. Makes him feel, he tells you, he starts each verse off that way, and at the end, makes him feel like one hell of a man. So just a love song and a nice little arrangement, some nice bass work on there. Then we go to the title track of the 1974 album that we just said, Stop and Smell the Roses. Written by Mac and, now not really, but kind of, the noted band leader and trumpeter Doc Severinsen. Became Davis's second top 10 in the US, where it peaked at number 9 in the fall of 74. Remained in the top 40 for 10 weeks. Doc was best known as a band leader of the NBC late night talk show, The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson. That's where I know him from, like a blast from the past. Mac was an occasional guest on the show, and during this time, the two became friends. Following an appearance on the show, Doc approached Davis with the idea of recording a song that included the phrase, Stop and Smell the Roses, since he had recently heard the phrase from a doctor. Soon after, Davis vacationed to Hawaii and wrote the song, crediting Severinsen as a co-writer for giving him the idea. Doc was quoted as saying that Davis could have gone ahead and written that song and not done that because he just gave him the idea. But it shows you what kind of nice guy Mac was, because he was giving up songwriting royalties to Doc. The lyrics to the song advise that while it is often necessary to forsake family obligations and pleasurable activities to succeed professionally, everyone should make sure they take some time to stop and smell the roses along the way. Yeah, boys and girls, do not get so caught up in work. I know you got to provide for the family and for yourself, but otherwise, really, in the end of the day, it's not that important, man. Time with the family is. 3 in Canada, as I said, 9 in the US. Only number 40 on the hot country charts in the US. Stop and Smell the Rose had a little bit of gospel feel to this one too. You had the baritone voice in the background and then the female backing vocals in there and just kind of that upbeat arrangement to it. Great message. Basically telling you the best things in life are free. You need to love on your wife, hold your kids, understand that life is going to be tough. And so if you don't enjoy these things, it's going to be a whole lot tougher on you. And the message of it is fantastic. This life is short and you need to enjoy the things that really matter. And making a whole bunch of money, like I said, I know you got to live. I'm not saying that. At the end of the day, I promise you, it doesn't really matter. I've been the happiest when I'm not making much money, which is kind of like right now in my life. I had other times in my life where I was highly successful and could have stayed on that path, and I chose to get off of it. So yeah, it's just very, very well done song. He's such a good songwriter. All right, Baby Don't Get Hooked on Me from the album the same name in 1972, his third studio album, reached number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100 and on the Billboard Easy Listening chart, stayed there on each chart for 3 weeks. Billboard ranked as number 8 song of 1972. He wrote it when the record company demanded he write a song with a hook. Went to 2 in Canada, 1 on the Canadian country charts, 26 on the US country charts. Maybe I've heard this song since it's such a big hit. Baby, Don't Get Hooked on Me. And remember, I said he wrote it because a record company wanted him to write something with the hooked. I wonder if that's why he put hooked on me in there. It's kind of a clever wordplay to the record company. It's so catchy. The percussion that runs throughout this song in the background really, really drives it for me. And of course, those harmony choruses in there. And he's telling this girl, look, I'm bad news. You're falling way too much for me. I'm just going to end up using you and cutting you loose is basically what he's telling her, but he's putting it in this beautiful little chorus, baby, baby, don't get hooked on me. But that's what he's telling her, but fantastic song. All right, drum roll, we got number 1 from the album of the same name. It's Hard to Be Humble from 1980. Went to 14 in Canada, 4 on the Canadian country charts, 27 on the UK singles charts, 43 on the US Billboard Hot 100, and 10 on the US Billboard country charts. Yes, there's going to be a test afterwards. All right, let's do it. Mac Davis, number 1. All right, It's Hard to Be Humbled, number 1 on the Mac Davis Top 10. What a fun song. I don't know this song. What a fun song. I wonder the story behind it. I could not find it, so I don't know if it's actually recorded somewhere in front of a live audience or a studio creation of a live audience, which is done a lot of times, but just fantastic. Mac just talking about, it's ironic. He can't, his girlfriend left him, but, she couldn't probably handle all the girls, so he could get another girlfriend, but he's not going to. He doesn't have any friends. That's because they couldn't really hang with him. They wouldn't be able to stand all the acclaim that he gets. So just a super fun song, a sing-along song. I bet he had a lot of fun performing this in concert, but yeah, a great choice for number 1. Now we're going to get to my overall tracks. Look, I didn't know any of these songs. Obviously, I know In the Ghetto, but not Mac's version. But yeah, I didn't really know any of these songs. Mac just never really hit it real big. He had the number 1 with Baby Don't Get Hooked on Me, but that was before my time. But just a guy that was like major talented, man. The songwriting on this is fantastic. I knew he had a rep as a songwriter, but great songwriting. So there's nothing I didn't like, but we'll go honorable mentions. Got to go In the Ghetto, even though, it's weird to listen to a non-Elvis version. Stop and Smell the Roses. Faves are going to be Hooked on Music and Texas in My Rear View Mirror. Those 2 really hit for me off the same album. And then these last 2, Baby Don't Get Hooked on Me and It's Hard to Be Humble. So fantastic list. Thank you so much to Cheryl for bringing this to us. Let me know your favorite tracks down below, what else you like from Mac Davis. And until next time, guys, I will see you.